Blog Talk Radio.
Are you ready? The champ is here! It's just a man! Give me a hell yeah! What the rock is cooking? To be the man, you have to be the man! Big bubble pump! And you hooked up!
Falling!
Holla! At the end of it! Woo, woo, woo! Cup of coffee in the big day.
It's Sunday, and you know what that means. Famcast Media and Blog Talk Radio proudly brings you the latest edition of Working the Marks. And I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist and top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine. Folks, I am Fernando Uribe, and he is the premier wrestling analyst in the state of New Jersey. Folks, the glorious, the illustrious, the dubious PBR superstar Patrick Rivera joins us here on Working the Marks. What's going on, PBR? Oh, God.
You're afraid of Dom. That's what's going on. You also forgot to mention that with your whole spiel. Nothing much, man. Glad to be back here. Lots of stuff going on. I thought the AEW pay-per-view was last night, but apparently it's tonight. I'm getting spoiled with these Saturday PLEs. I mean, you know, it's a great thing. But, yeah, no, happy to be back here again. Tough morning for me. Manchester United getting smoked 7-0. It is what it is. Total contrast to last weekend. Oh, fuck off. All right? Fuck off. All right? They got smoked. All right? But anyways, brighter days ahead. Glad to be back with you here, Profe. Looking sharp with your fucking Impact gimmicks here. Buy one, get one frees, huh?
Hey, listen,
I like
more importantly, I'm getting my Hans Gruber beard back.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, folks, again, check us out on all our social media there on the banner scrolling downwards. Shoot us a text, a DM. Always write to us at workingthemarks@gmail.com. Some topics here. Pat, it's Revolution Sunday. And, of course, before we get to previewing the 27 matches tonight on Revolution, which starts at 8 o'clock, which is just mind-boggling to me. I mean, that pay-per-view might go until, like, I don't know, 1 in the morning. Who knows? We'll get to it in a little bit. But some wrestling news here on the Psycho Man. I got to tell you, and I know we talked about it last week. I know it's something that doesn't really interest you per se, but the ratings continue to be really strong on A&E with their new season of biographies, obviously, and the Rivals special that broadcast immediately thereafter. Right? Pretty much it's 8 to 10 for the biography, and then 10 to 11 on the Rivals. This week's is going to be interesting because tonight, again, going up against Revolution in terms of, you know, maybe a TV war per se, will be the WWE biography of Joanie Laurer, otherwise known as Chyna. And then, of course, at 10 o'clock, it'll be the Rivals, John Cena versus The Rock. I think a lot to talk about that one. But listen, I know it doesn't interest you per se. You know, I know you talked about it before. We both lived it. As a history major, as a history teacher, I love reliving these moments and seeing footage and interviews. But, Joanie Laurer lived a really, really troubled life. Someone that unfortunately died way too young. And again, I don't know what WWE is going to cover here, because if you remember, for a lot of years, they chose to never really acknowledge Chyna, especially when she entered, adult entertainment and everything else. All the problems with Sean Waltman and everything, that happened. And of course, the rumors that Stephanie never liked her when they dated.
Big Sean Waltman problems.
And all that. So it'll be interesting to see what they will really talk about tonight with Joanie Laurer, because again, a compelling character, a revolutionary for women in professional wrestling, but a very troubled person.
Well, I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it when it comes to Joanie. I'm sure they're going to show a lot of her accomplishments because she had a ton of them. And it's funny you mentioned Chyna, because I think it was Bubba Ray that was on his show, it might have been earlier this week, was talking about how, Chyna became Intercontinental Champion. Why couldn't Rhea Ripley or Charlotte be Intercontinental Champion? And it does bring up an interesting point. But I do think that back then there wasn't, as much of a robust women's division as there is now. So, Chyna probably would have been the face of that. Regardless of that, though, I mean, look, like I said, I'm not into this stuff. I lived it. I really don't want to relive it or anything like that. And, I just think it's good because for this younger generation of fans, It kind of brings them up to speed with the stuff that, let's say, people in our age group kind of like, and mainly the stuff that wrestling fans talk about when they speak about the good times of wrestling. So I think it's good in that sense that it kind of helps them. It kind of helps casuals. Good they're doing it around this time of year for WrestleMania. Obviously, WrestleMania is a legend-making show, you know. And you know, I think they're going to continue to do good numbers with this because of that, because of the fact that you're getting a lot of new people, casuals, stuff like that. And I just think wrestling fans in general, because they are well done, I can admit that, even though I'm not interested, they are pretty well done. So, yeah, man, I think this one should be good. I'm kind of glad that they're finally acknowledging China. I think it's great. China is immensely influential in women's wrestling now, and you know, I think it's better late than never. You know, I guess you could say, right?
No, totally. And I think also too, what's interesting about the one at 10 o'clock, obviously the new Rivals episode is Cena and The Rock. And isn't it funny though, man? Because let's go back to 2008 when, at least for fans, kayfabe was maybe somewhat still alive and maybe driving home the point of that. Well, you know, Dwayne Johnson and John Cena don't like each other. And for all we knew, it was probably a work going back to that famous little, snub at the 2008 Hall of Fame ceremony, which I'll get to in a minute because we're about 25 days out and still not one Hall of Fame nominee announced for WrestleMania weekend. But if you remember, what Dwayne Johnson said when he inducted his father, and Cena being there, it was, again, whether it was kayfabe or whatever, it really led to a lot of snipping and chirping online, right on Twitter. Cena taking jabs at Dwayne. Oh, well, he left and he went to Hollywood. And then, coincidentally, years later, because John's a businessman and John is a capitalist like anybody else, if there's an opportunity to make movies or TV shows, why not do that? I mean, it's kind of funny how the irony of it came out pretty much full circle. Everything Cena, again, under kayfabe, I'm assuming, crashed The Rock about, now he's doing the exact same thing. If not, let's be honest, John Cena's doing, I think, just as equally good content as a movie star, commercial guy, TV star as Dwayne Johnson did. I think we have to kind of put that out there, bro.
I don't think, I mean, it was kind of timing, I think, for Dwayne, because it was still kind of like early internet. So like he was kind of like, he kind of had a way to kind of like cement himself with like an older audience and stuff like that. And like his growth was kind of like maybe a little bit slower than, let's say, John's. John's at a good point, but he's not like fully leading man yet, because if you look at it, he's just doing action or comedy. So, I mean, once he kind of grows out of that and does something more serious, then yeah, like The Rock's done serious stuff, Has it been good? Well, that's all up to the viewer, But I mean, Rock took some time to get to where he did. And I think, Rock had the advantage of, being able to, like I said, be a star before the internet, kind of like become more of a mainstream guy, like by being on SNL, by being on, nationally syndicated television, stuff like that. And I think that really aided him, His early on movies, I wasn't so much of a fan of. I really like fucking Pain and Gain or Training Game, whatever. The one with him and Marky Mark, where they're juice heads and shit like that. And they're fucking like laundering all this drug money and all this shit. Yeah. Fucking great movie. If you haven't seen it, people. That's a ringing endorsement for me, by the way. I put it over. So, but I think that's going to be a good program. And I was there for WrestleMania 28. And that was a great fucking match. The second one I thought was good. Again, it was kaijus. It's these two big stars going at it. Shit happens.
You're being generous. That second match was atrocious.
I mean, maybe up to you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe up to you. But I mean, again, I saw the purpose of it. You also got to consider that Rocky got hurt in that match too at the beginning. So he was working injured in that match.
What, walking
and still was
ring?
Able to do what he did. No, dude, locking up or something like that. Wow.
Oh, Dee, I love you.
Damn.
Thank you.
Yo, D has stepped up the wet these last couple of weeks. I'm just
saying. I mean, think about all the juice and the gas that Dwayne was on leading into that. Remember, he was already in the Fast and Furious franchise. Let's be honest, folks. I mean, look at him in the Scorpion King, to Walking Tall, to a few other, I think, roles in 2004 to 5, 6, 7. I mean, that was madness. To what he was when he came back again, just look at him in 2008 when he inducted his father, a lot more slender. When, if you remember, in 2011, during the whole Summer of Punk thing when I guess, the Fruity Pebbles thing that Rocky was making fun of Cena with, and then Cena responded. Like, you could tell, like, Dwayne was like, bro, he was gassed. I mean, he had traps like Dante Lupo. Again, no disrespect to my boy, the Dean, of course. But, I mean, he had his physique changed dramatically. You know what I'm saying? So, who knows? Maybe just, going into that match, maybe not enough cardio. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. But
accidents happen, though, too, dude. Sometimes you take a fucking step in the ring, you tear your ACL. It doesn't matter. It can happen to anybody. I mean,
All
look
these
at
workers
Vince,
stick together.
No, it's true. You could get hurt doing anything. You get hurt walking outside your door,
No, you're right.
But to your point, maybe he might have been partaking some gimmicks, but I thought the match was good for what it was, bro.
And also too, man.
That's maybe subjective.
And also too, you brought up a good point. Like, it was kind of not so much the infancy of the internet. I think it was more the infancy of social media. I mean, pretty much again in 2008 at the Hall of Fame ceremony when he inducted his father in Orlando. I mean, let's be honest. Facebook and YouTube was really only up about 3 years.
Right.
Twitter was still, I think, kind of in its infancy. And, we still didn't have Instagram yet. We still didn't have the Chinese TikTok. We didn't have Snapchat yet. So there was still, an infancy of like, how are you getting content out? Again, YouTube, you started seeing all these podcasts, people, observations about whether or not Cena and Rock really disliked each other in real life. And it was funny because I think they did a great job keeping up the kayfabe. Going back to Survivor Series 2011 at the Garden when they had to team up. I mean, people were like, oh my God, how they get to team up? These people despise each other. I think it was as good a work as possible. It'll be interesting later on tonight what we learn, as Cena and Rock obviously are a little bit older now, maybe a little different perspective about what their dislike was. And again, bro, listen, you're entitled to your opinion. That second match, I think it was hard to follow up the hype of the previous, once in a lifetime. And then on top of the fact that it was a bad Mania altogether, other than CM Punk versus Undertaker and Daniel Bryan and Kane and Ziggler and Big E. I mean, that was probably one of the worst Manias that I can remember in my adult life. And it certainly didn't help with that awful main event. And I get it. It was a passing of the torch moment per se. But again, bro, I think you're being really generous with that match. But point well taken about the circumstances leading into the match, and then when the bell rang.
Yeah, man. I mean, shit happens, man. And at the end of the day, I think the metrics that matter are that they sold out stadiums, they got high ratings on TV, they sold a ton of merch, they did everything they needed to do. Those are two huge stars, man. People are just gonna look at it just fucking intrigue,
sure.
just out of sheer curiosity, bro. So, the check was in the mail. You know what I'm saying?
No, certainly. And of course, making the rounds this week, man, on really wrestling Twitter and sort of the news cycle here as well is, there seems to be a lot of collective outrage. I mean, I'm being one of them. We've talked about it off the air, and I know it's a gimmick Hall of Fame, but one of the things that always makes WrestleMania weekend interesting and exciting and nostalgic is the Hall of Fame ceremony, right? And whether it was here, let's say in 2019, when WrestleMania was at MetLife Stadium or whatever, take your pick. It's always been such a wonderful evening to relive great gimmicks, great wrestlers, great acts in professional wrestling. Bro, we're 3 weeks out, not one Hall of Fame nomination. It just seems like, wait a second, it's in Hollywood. You would think like, okay, they want to, aside from some of these vignettes they're doing, which they're god awful. I'm still waiting on the Bloodline one, which I think it looks pretty good. The Titanic one this week that was released, atrocious. And I'm being kind. I could say something worse on the air, but I'd rather keep it PG.
Oh, I bet you could.
Oh, it was just awful. Like, that's just, first of all, I can't stand Titanic to begin with. To compound the problem with just an awful scene.
What?
That's a bad movie. I'm sorry.
How is it a bad movie? Avatar's a bad movie, not Titanic.
It is a bad movie. I just never understood people going to the theater multiple times to watch it. I'm like, yo, the motherfucker dies at the end.
DiCaprio.
Okay? And again, what we don't want to talk about, because again, we can't offend women, is that Rose had space for Jack on the raft. She just chose to be selfish and let him die. But you can't say that.
She
because
had space.
Women get all fucking triggered. Oh, how dare you say it? It's true. She had space to save Jack. She just chose not to. That's fucked up. I'm sorry. It's true. I'm really, really, really passionate about this. I hated it.
She already hit that. That's
I mean,
why.
you can say fucked up things about people. It's not just women. It's not just exclusive to women, Fernando. You can say fucked up things about everybody.
No, I agree. But,
Yeah.
these vignettes haven't been great. And then sort of getting back to the fact that there's not one Hall of Fame nominee yet. Like, bro, I'm sorry. I know it's not
what?
for you.
So what? Who cares?
It's not for you.
Another thing
But
for
it's a
fucking
great
Marks to
discussion.
cry about. They haven't announced the Hall of Fame. Why don't you go fucking announce the Hall of Fame? Start up your own fucking Hall of Fame. Get a GoFundMe going. The Complainers Hall of Fame for you and the rest of the Marks. Jesus
That's right.
Christ. You're going to
And
get
the
it.
Midnight
You're
Express
going
in
to
there.
get it. The Midnight Express and the Complainers Hall of Fame. There you go. Like, Jesus.
Which,
Oh
by
my
the way,
God.
folks, a very proud moment this week. Aside from 2023 having 3 people on CNN block me, Dave Meltzer's blocked me, and now I've learned that Jim Cornette has blocked me on Twitter. It's a glorious 2023 for me so far.
You got to be a little heartbroken about that one, though. Come on, man. You got a gimmick with him on it. You love Cornette. I love Cornette.
I love Cornette's wrestling mind. His political IQ is in the toilet, as far as I'm concerned. But
that's an opinion, Fernando. Come on.
Well,
Come on.
so
Wrong
Brian
show,
Last.
Fernando. Wrong show.
So was Brian
Wrong
Last,
show.
but I don't know, Pat. It just seems like there's a collective outrage, and I know that. Listen, you're right. I think that it is a reason to complain, but part of what has made WrestleMania weekend, as Mr. Little sip of the wine there for Mr. Bougie Rivera. It's I don't know, man. It's always been a part of WrestleMania weekend. It's what sort of the allure of it. I'm just surprised they haven't really put more into it in the sense of advertising or promotions, because I know it's not for you. You don't care about it.
But the tickets are sold, Fern, and people are going to watch it when it fucking comes out. Like, that's it. There's no promoting to do. The fucking house is sold out. People buy those package tickets. They're going to go. They're going to go no matter what.
You're right. And Staples Center in downtown LA will be sold out. I'm just kind of disappointed that we're not hearing names thus far, whether it's Batista, whether it's, I'm trying to think other names that have been rumored out there.
Say your own name. Say your own name. Listen to Say My Name by Destiny's Child. You'll hear names. You know what I'm saying? But
oh God,
don't worry about it. The Hall of Fame names are coming, pal. Don't worry about it, pal. It's good shit.
I gotta say, this is probably my first pet peeve I have with Paul Levesque right now. Like, bro.
Oh my God. Hold on a second. Dave, what's the time? What's the date? March 5th. At what time now?
4:25.
4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Uribe does not like one thing that Triple H did. I feel like
he uses government name, Pat. He uses government name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Paul Levesque. My bad. Wow. Well, he likes to use the government names, right, D? That's kind of his shtick.
True.
I just it's just weird, man. First time I have to object to Paul Levesque as the CCO not doing something that I like. I know it's weird.
But I think that's a problem now. I think that there's a lot of people now, right? Yeah. And we're going to start going down the rabbit hole here a little bit about, internet conspiracy theories. Everybody's like, Vince is back. Vince is back. Like Vince is hiding around backstage with like a fucking trench coat behind like columns and shit like that. Like, come on, bro. Really? Vince is back in the corporate sense. I don't think Vince is backstage. Will Vince be at WrestleMania? Maybe. Who knows? It's fucking WrestleMania. He's Vince McMahon. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. But I just think that marks now, and particularly fans of Triple H's booking and his work, they're kind of like coming up with things for stuff that they don't like that he's booking. For example, Lashley and Bray Wyatt. A lot of the Triple H fans, the people that would like what Triple H would book, don't like it, right? But again, it's there for another part of the audience. What is Triple H going to do? Neglect that part of the audience? No, he's not going to do that. That's like neglecting money. Then your name would be Tony Khan. So, I mean, he sees that, he understands that, and he's giving that part of the audience something that they like. You know what I'm saying? Brock Lesnar taking on Edward James Olmos, okay? That match right there. A lot of people are like, oh my God, Brock Lesnar shouldn't be doing this. Almost is the shits, this and that, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Vince is behind this. There he is. He's back again in the shape. He's hiding around, waiting to kill the collective Laurie, the collective Laurie Strode that is the wrestling community. The online wrestling nerds. Yeah, the boogeyman. He's back. He's back. The boogeyman syndrome. So, again, I just think that people are having a hard time accepting that maybe Triple H is booking things that they don't like.
Yep.
That not everything that he's going to do you're going to like. But, I mean, realistically, that's booking. Not everything's going to get over. Not every person's going to get over.
That's right.
I don't have enough toes and hands, right, Uribe? Enough toes and hands to count the number of people that had all the potential in the world, that had the look, that could talk, that had everything, the gimmick, whatever. And some reason or another, they just never made it. They never got to the top of the card. Okay? They never became that guy. Or maybe they had like a bullshit title reign, but that was it. But they were never able to be that person consistently. So,
totally.
Look, man, I think people need to accept just one last thing here, but I think people need to accept it. And I think you people watching this show, if you like Triple H's booking, understand that he's going to book some stuff you're not going to like. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that he sucks. It doesn't mean that Vince is back. There's no conspiracy. Okay? So put it to bed and stop listening to Dave Meltzer.
Oh, no, I'm with you. And I think that collective, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about the ratings, certainly. But you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I think that the idea that fans, again, it's still not a full calendar year yet of Paul Levesque being the CCO and having complete creative control really over what's presented on both Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, we know that Shawn Michaels is the CCO at NXT. Obviously, I'm sure, there's some input from Paul Levesque too, but it's interesting that fans, I think, are getting fickle unnecessarily, I think. When we've talked about this off the air, like the only booking I've ever done is on my 2K on my PlayStation. Okay. Yeah. So the idea that that's sort of like the default mechanism for a lot of wrestling fans. Well, that's not good booking. No, it's not a storyline you like. I think we have to sort of differentiate the two because it's easy to fall into that rabbit hole. Like you said, oh, well, that's bad booking. I've never booked anything other than a card in create mode on 2K, and even
you've booked parties through your great philanthropic efforts. And
well, thank you. And that's very kind. So, I appreciate that.
So you've done stuff like that, but that's also a part of it. But you're not putting a fucking card together saying, hey, this guy and that lady, fulanito de tal contra esta, they're gonna fucking lock horns in a fucking Cuban flag on a pole match or something like that. Like, no, that's not gonna happen. You're not doing that kind of booking. You're just securing a fucking venue. So again. It's okay not to like everything he does. It doesn't mean that he sucks. Let's see what he does. Let's see where he's going. So far, it's been different. And I think that this has been kind of their effort to try and bring back part of the audience that they alienated, right? The hardcore marks. Although they've kind of taken a turn for the worst. I mean, if you look at some of the online activity, but I think we'll talk about that later on.
Sure.
But I mean, again, it's perfectly okay for you not to like everything Triple H does. That's it.
No, I'm with you. I'm totally. And again, I think fans, especially as we get closer to WrestleMania and what happens during those 2 nights, I think it'll give fans some fodder to complain because that's what they're going to do. Speaking about booking here, obviously some breaking news. Kofi Kingston apparently was injured on Friday night, Pat, during the live SmackDown in Washington, D.C. Apparently, he was supposed to be part of next week's 5-way number 1 contenders match to see who will face Gunther at WrestleMania, probably night 1 or 2. I'm not sure, maybe, but regardless, interesting though because you're looking at Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, LA Knight, also Kofi, and Karrion Kross. I gotta tell you again. I know fans get all thick. Oh, all these years of triple threats and fatal 4-ways. I'll be honest with you. I think that it wouldn't be the worst thing if you make this match just at Mania. Like if you had a fatal 5-way for the IC title with Gunther and all those guys, that wouldn't be the worst thing. But I get it. You want to have a number 1 contender to fit, at SmackDown. I don't know, man. I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world. And again, if Kofi is going to be injured, and it might make it a fatal 4-way next Friday. Again, depending on the severity of his arm injury, it seems like it's pretty serious. I don't know, man. I'd rather see a fatal 4-way or 5-way at Mania as opposed to Gunther having a 1-on-1, but that's just me.
That it depends though, Fern. I mean, you got a lot of TV time to fill up between now and then. You want to use talent, you want to put guys out there, especially people that you're not going to be putting on at Mania. You kind of want to showcase them a little bit now, So I understand what you're saying, but from if what we're hearing is true, that Triple H wants to shrink down card time, then kind of makes sense that they wouldn't do that. But really, for me, I think it really just comes down to the fact that you got to create TV. Like you got to have matches on television. You got to stretch it out as much as you can. And if you're gonna have Gunther defending that title, then you're gonna have him defending the title at Mania. He might do a couple of TV ones in between, who knows? But I mean, he's gonna be defending the title at Mania. So I think it's good because they're kind of letting these guys, get their time in. Because in all probability, some of the people you mentioned aren't gonna be on WrestleMania.
And it's interesting you bring that up about, I guess, Paul Levesque publicly stating, or somehow through sources, right? I don't know if it's Sean Ross the Sap or the Lollipop Guild at Wrestling Observer saying that Paul wants to make both nights sort of condensed, maybe not as long. I don't know if that's true. I mean, I'm sort of just looking at the WrestleMania card right now. Certainly there's still about 3 weeks to go. And marks and fans are going to complain online regardless about, why isn't the card set already? It's 3 weeks out. Again, we're looking at ideally, Monday in Boston for Raw. We're going to have, Seth Rollins confronting Logan Paul. We're going to have Cena Austin Theory confronting John Cena. Those are two potential new matches. It doesn't seem like a very full card. And it almost it's funny because Marks will complain about everything, as we've always talked about. Because, again, going back to 2019, the last single day WrestleMania card, where, again, I was at it with a bunch of my buddies. And shout out to Dee Rotten for plugging that great promo I cut in one take at MetLife Stadium that Sunday during WrestleMania 35. But, bro, I remember, literally walking into MetLife around 4:30-ish because I wanted to catch, the pre-show, the Raw tag titles with the local boys, Zack Ryder and Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, the local guys against FTR, and the women's battle royal, the men's battle royal. WrestleMania didn't end until 12:40. I remember 12:40 when Becky beat Ronda Rousey. You had the fireworks, bro. That was a long Mania. And hey, that makes sense. Make it 2 nights. It seems like maybe Paul Levesque doesn't want to make it like a 5-6 hour show each night either. So I think he's being smart by saying, hey, let's condense this. Let's not make it as long-winded as, let's say, what Revolution is going to be later on tonight. I'm afraid this is going to be, it'll be like I'll be watching Fox News at 1 a.m. just because it ended, So it's good
every day.
What's that? What's that?
Oh, man. Hit it again.
Smoke weed every day.
But you're right, though. I think, fans are giving Paul a little too much grief in the sense of why are we cutting it short? Why isn't there a battle royal under the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? Why isn't there the women's battle royal? I mean, it's not a bad thing to condense the show either.
I got a question for you, Professor. What happened to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal?
Was there wasn't one last year, right? I think. No,
I think they did it on TV. They did it on SmackDown.
They did it on Friday night, and then that was the Hall of Fame. I remember too that same night as well. I'm trying to remember. Obviously, in 21 in Tampa, that there wasn't one. I don't think so. We all know in 2020 during the COVID mania at the Performance Center, there wasn't one either. I think probably the last one was 2019 it was during the pre-show. It wasn't during the actual show of WrestleMania.
It was at WrestleMania.
Well, I get it. At 4:30 in the afternoon, I get it.
Did the venue change?
Well, it wasn't as full because people were tailgating.
But I mean, it was still in the same venue.
No, correct. Yeah.
So I mean, if people want to be degenerates and be outside getting inebriated instead of being inside and watching the show that they paid to see, maybe they'd have one less complaint. You know what I'm saying?
I get that.
Woo!
I get that.
Woo!
As he sips his Prosecco, I swear to God, folks. I tell you, you gotta love it. You just gotta. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Kofi though. Pat, hopefully it's not serious. Always great to see Kofi on the show. We'll see what happens next week. Obviously on SmackDown, lean into Mania. Some other news which is interesting, sort of around the wrestling community. Eddie Kingston, obviously, apparently quit AEW on Wednesday during Dynamite.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And showed up on Thursday night during the premiere of, I guess, Honor Club, which is, I guess, the new Ring of Honor show on 7 o'clock on Thursdays now. Because, obviously 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock is Impact Wrestling on Access TV, and then New Japan's on at 10 o'clock. It seems like Eddie Kingston maybe moving over to Ring of Honor, challenging Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship coming up at their next pay-per-view, which I don't even know what it is. A lot of fans had fun with this because it's like it just seems like Eddie Kingston's outlived his usefulness, I would say, for a lot of people.
I mean, again, bro, this is a guy that should have been booked differently from Jump Street. That should have been presented differently, like a lot of people in AEW. I think the fans are just watching because that's it. It's just like an instinct for them to watch. It doesn't mean that it's good. Ratings are kind of indicative of that fact. Jungle Boy should be a lot bigger. Eddie Kingston should be a lot bigger. Darby Allin should be a lot bigger. I mean, a lot of people should be a lot bigger, but they're not. And it's unfortunate, man. And it's kind of a byproduct of the bad booking over there. Eddie Kingston's a really talented dude. He could talk. He could work.
Yeah, he is.
That style, those fans, that suits him. But I think because Tony Khan presented him in so many different ways and didn't follow up well and presented him in kind of maybe ways that didn't make him look the strongest all the time, it's kind of hard for fans outside of the hardcores to really kind of latch onto him.
No, I agree. And speaking of Tony Khan, some more stuff in the news cycle here. Apparently, Eric Bischoff and Tony Khan have been having a back and forth this past week. Tony Khan made an appearance on Busted Open Radio with the more talented David LaGreca, along with Tommy Dreamer and Bubba Ray Dudley this week, where he responded to Bischoff's comments regarding the lack of stories and cold matches in AEW. So during the interview, interesting, Tony Khan said, quote, that Eric Bischoff was a hypocrite because he would often book cold matches on WCW Monday Nitro, which Khan said is when Nitro was at its best. Khan also said that not every match needed to have a long storyline, but that most AEW matches did have a story attached, which is absolute bullshit if you watch AEW. I do every week. On the latest episode of 83 Weeks on this podcast with Conrad Thompson, Bischoff, who admitted he didn't hear Khan's comments originally, but did see what was said, responded to the AEW president, general manager, and booker. Quote, I've criticized myself for plenty of things that I wish I would have done differently or things that I've learned subsequent to my time in WCW that I wish I had the knowledge or instinct or insight that I have now 25 years ago. It would have been a better show. Yes, there were certainly some random matches that didn't have any story in WCW. I'm not denying that. I'm also going to point out that I don't think I ever said in any of my commentary about AEW that I believe every match should have a story. When you're introducing new talent, or when you have talent that you haven't really matched up too much storyline-wise with any opponent yet, but you want to expose that talent and have the audience familiar with that talent and establish that the talent, sure, put people in matches that don't really have a story. Use that time in non-storyline matches to give us a backstory, which is what you need, and information about said talent. Make us care. You don't make us care, Tony. It doesn't always have to be in the form of a storyline, a traditional structured story. If I've ever given the impression that I thought every match on Nitro had a storyline, forgive me for now. That was never the case. Back and forth, it seems like Bischoff. Well, first of all, it seems like Tony Khan gets fickle over any criticism of his product. But good for Bischoff, sort of clapping back because, again, irrespective of what we think about Eric Bischoff, the promoter 25 years later, at the time, he was up against against Goliath. And he did it for 83 weeks. He kept Vince McMahon on his heels, so much to the point that, McMahon really worried about keeping WWF afloat. So let's give Bischoff his roses, but I think also let's give him his roses more because he's having awareness. And a lot of us, 20 years later after the fact, don't always have that growth and don't always have that awareness. He does. And I think that's healthy for Bischoff, but I think it's unhealthy for Tony Khan because he comes off being a little bitch.
I mean, look, man, it's more of the same old with Tony Khan. And I think people within the wrestling business, particularly the higher ups, people who've been around, they don't really respect him, man. I mean, they respect the fact that the guy spends money, I'm sure, and whatever. But I mean, he's not running that company well. He's not a wrestling person, and he is one now because he's been at it, but he doesn't know what he's doing, man. And it's a big problem. I mean, again, I'm going to give him credit because the existence of AEW is good for talent.
Yeah.
It's a place for talent to work. I give him credit for starting up a wrestling company, for having pay-per-views, for doing all that stuff. I will give him credit for that.
Cody Rhodes.
The problem is he just has not followed up well. He hasn't continued to do things very well. And again, he's got very thin skin, and he's easily triggered by people like Bischoff, by Marks. Once the Marks had him, you knew the boys and everybody backstage, anybody that worked in the business, they knew they'd have him. You know what I mean? Because the fact that this dude gets this crazy over shit that Marks say, it's bananas. I mean, imagine all the people that hate Vince McMahon, and imagine if Vince took the time to answer any one of them for any one fucking thing. It'd be madness.
Vince
It'd
never
be
cared.
madness.
Vince
Never cared because Vince's focus was his business.
Vince never once went on Twitter to address anybody. And I can only imagine what his mentions looked like on his phone when he checked it. It must have been like a tsunami of praise, vitriol, and everything else in between. So, it's something that, listen, you think Scott D'Amore doesn't get vitriol on his Twitter? And mind you, I think Scott D'Amore is a great booker. I think he's a good EVP for what he's doing. Mind you, with 1/10 of the budget Tony Khan has. And again, I know people want to rag on me for wearing the shirt and being a mark for Impact Wrestling. You watch it, folks, every week for 2 hours. It's a better presented show, and it makes more sense storyline-wise with a lot of what they're doing. And again, 1/10 of the budget. Imagine if Scott D'Amore even had maybe $10 million more, not more, $10 million to work with when it comes to production and maybe signing talent. Again, that's why he loses people to Tony Khan and Vince McMahon. And Paul Levesque subsequently too, obviously, and Nick Khan, from a roster perspective. But it's funny to me though, where Tony Khan still, whether it's the Ariel Helwani situation, the backlash that he got for that, Bischoff's not going to clap back at him. Like, are you stupid? Like, Bischoff is pretty well insulated, where he makes his money. He's learned to monetize what he does with a podcast, as Conrad Thompson has as well. He can clap back as he wants. And what's Tony going to say? Oh, I'm never going to invite you back. Like, Eric gives a fuck. Let's be honest. He doesn't care. He doesn't need to go back to AEW for any appearance whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it's just get some thicker skin, man. You gotta be willing to deal with this. You gotta be willing to deal with criticisms. You gotta be able to handle it. You gotta even maybe listen to it too, which I think is a big thing. I think that if he was smart, he would listen to it, he would learn from it, and he would improve his product, especially coming from a guy like Eric Bischoff, who was really one of the few people to put Vince McMahon up against the ropes, so
literally.
I just think that it's like, dude, grow up, man. Like, come on, get it fucking together. Cut this shit, because you're a CEO, like, fucking act like one, and don't act like a mark, and don't care what marks tell you, man. That's it. He knows he has that mark audience. He knows that mark audience is not going anywhere. He knows that the marks are not leaving. Okay, none of the marks, but it's his objective should be to fucking grow the audience, to get it outside the marks, because those are the people that are going to matter. Those are the people that are going to make him money and that are going to help the product grow.
Well, speaking about the product growing, let's get to some ratings this week here. Raw, Pat, down a little bit this past Monday at 1.77. Let's just round it. I'll just give you the numbers for February. February 6th, 1.87. February 13th, 1.81. February 20th, 2.006 on President's Day. And to end the month of February, 1.77. A fluctuation, not a surprise. Again, it's Monday. There's still a lot of TV to watch, man. You got NCAA conference tournament games to wrap up the season as March Madness really starts next week. The NBA is heating up. A lot of my teams, a lot of the teams are playing Monday nights. You got hockey, our Devils. You got hockey, obviously. Really, heating up. Obviously, primetime television. Raw is where it is, man. Raw is going to be in that 2-ish area. It peaked at on January 30th at 2.1. Actually, the highest peak this year was January 23rd, 2.34. Raw, again, as we get closer to Mania, dude, it's going to be in the 2s, and that's where you want it to be, and that's what we've come to expect. And it's going to heat up. Listen, Monday, coming up tomorrow night, Cena returns in Boston. You're also going to have Logan Paul on. I'm fairly confident you're going to see probably 2.2, 2.3, maybe as high as 2.4 coming up tomorrow night on Raw as, the road to WrestleMania continues. So no surprise there. Good booking. Again, Paul's not going to like listen, maybe not everyone likes Bray Wyatt doing that exercise gimmick when he was like, doing the thing with Bobby Lashley. It's not for everybody. But, I love that.
That fucking movement, Uribe, that was amazing.
He was like,
that one.
He was like, obviously too, seeing Becky and Lita win the tag titles. Obviously everything else, Austin Theory coming out. Again, I always laugh when people say, oh, Raw's tanking. How's it tanking? It's going to be back in the 2s, and especially after Mania, it'll continue there. As again, we have coming up in April, we have Mania, and then in May, we have Backlash returning in the first Saturday of May. I think the last Saturday of May is going to be in Saudi Arabia, the King of the Ring tournament and the Queen of the Ring tournament. So ratings will be fine. I think people are, just like you mentioned, not everyone's going to like what Paul is booking, but you have to give people time on television to get over. Does everybody get over? No. Is everybody going to be a fan of Bray Wyatt in exercise clothes, doing his best, Olivia Newton-John, God rest her soul, imitation of physical? No, but you have to break some eggs, and that's what Paul's doing. He's breaking eggs.
Yeah, man. Olivia Newton-John, man, hopelessly devoted to you. That's my fucking jam, bro. What a babe she was. May she rest in peace.
Yep.
Look, man, it comes down to this, okay? Let's say you're a manager of a team. Are you going to bench your best players? Are you going to bench all your best players? Because for Paul Levesque, Bray Wyatt is a good player, okay? He might not be something you might like or I might like, but the guy sells merch. Kids like him. There's a lot of social media interaction with him. He's been made into fucking GIFs, which, believe it or not, when you're a GIF or a GIF or whatever the fuck it's called, that's kind of a big deal nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Because people are going to use you in social interaction. So inevitably, you're going to, get views. You're going to make money off that shit. You know what I'm saying? Bray Wyatt is a big player for Paul Levesque. He moves merch. He moves stuff. He moves interest. And more importantly, he's there for the kid. He's there for the kids. That's what he's there to do. Yeah. Okay? You need to grow your fucking audience. You need to try and get kids to watch it. Okay? Kids are good fans to have, even if they don't have a Wrestling Observer newsletter subscription. They're good fans to have, okay? Because their parents are going to take them to the shows and are going to buy them gimmicks and are gonna give them a good experience. And WWE is going to make a lot of money of that. And more importantly, they're going to have fans for years to come.
Absolutely.
You and I were both fans when we were little kids. And look at us now, how many fucking years later, and we're still talking about this shit. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so that's what they want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they already got us. Hook, line, and sinker. It's about growing a new audience, getting kids interested, and again, breaking eggs. You have to break some eggs and see which omelet is going to be more appealing between person A, person B, person C, and person D. I think that's what Paul's doing. AEW, very disappointing. No surprise there. Going into Revolution, a very embarrassing 833,000 people, down 195,000 from the previous week. Here's some numbers for February. On February 1st, it was 901,000. February 8th, 899,000. February 15th, 824,000. February 22nd, 1.028 million. Right now, the peak this year, Pat, I think has been, February 22nd. It's only the second time this year it's peaked over 1 million. And it's not overwhelming. And, you would think that going into Revolution, now again, Revolution isn't like AEW's version of Mania. That's not like their big show. I would say probably Double or Nothing is probably their show, their Mania version. But what's interesting is that you would think going into Revolution in an historic building like the Cow Palace in San Francisco, and that cesspool, as people are walking through needles and other things, on the streets to get to the Cow Palace. It's interesting because, and you showed me obviously some stuff, obviously off the air where attendance wasn't very good. You saw what the building looked like at the Cow Palace. A lot of it was tapered off. And I get it. Again, I'm not making excuses. I mean, that's what Dave Meltzer does. But it's funny because it's like, well, folks, it's like, what do you expect out of a show that if it's 8:00 here, it's 5:00 on the West Coast in San Francisco? People are leaving work. People are leaving school. People are, I don't know, doing whatever it is they're doing in the late afternoon. That building might not be filled. Now, again, aside from the fact that it's bad wrestling, it's bad indie wrestling, you have to kind of expect that turnout's not going to be good. Same thing happened on Friday during Rampage. I saw some photos circulating online that the Cow Palace wasn't full again for a very, very uninspiring Rampage on Friday night, going into Revolution tonight. Bad numbers here, man. 833,000. Like, Jesus Christ.
Woo! I mean, dude, it's again, man, when you book your product to please one part of your audience, of your overall audience, you're not gonna get the full benefit. You know what I'm saying? And Tony Khan continues to just book for that niche audience, man. And the houses are suffering. And I mean, I'm sure he's gonna get renewed for his deal. I'm sure they're still gonna keep going. The amount of money that he's gonna get, we don't know. You know what I mean? But it's not good, man. They don't have compelling storylines that are pulling people, like the Bloodline, like the guy that you're afraid of, Dom Mysterio, the hardest man in the business. They don't have stuff like that. They don't have characters like that. They don't have Sammy. They don't have Kevin. They don't have Seth Rollins. They don't have Becky Lynch. They don't have people like that. You know what I'm saying?
I love hearing you say compelling and saying Kevin Owens in the same sentence. I'm in my glory because I'm such a Kevin Owens mark. So I just love hearing you say.
Let me tell you something. I haven't always been a fan, but I can recognize that he's a good worker and he's a good talker, and he can do what he has to do. And I think that he's changed because he's become maybe more adaptable to things that he wouldn't have necessarily wanted to try back in the day. And I think by doing that, he's added a whole new dimension to himself, similarly to what Sami Zayn's done and Seth Rollins. Like, those three guys, to me, they've tapped into such great aspects of them as characters and personalities that it's amazing. And it's been really, really fun to watch because, again, we already know all three of those guys can work. But at the end of the day, just wrestling ain't going to cut it, man. Like, that's just what it is. You need character. You need things to make you interesting. You need compelling characters to draw your audience in. Tony Khan is lacking that. He has that within that small fan base, but he needs to grow it. And I don't know how much longer we're going to keep saying this for until either the company goes belly up or he finally grows his fucking audience. As supposedly he has major announcements. Speaking of major announcements, I'm going to have a major announcement before the end of the show today. You're not going to want to miss that. I did promote it on Instagram, a major announcement. And no, Adam Cole with blow-dried Shawn Michaels hair from the 90s is not going to come in and say it instead. But, I just think that he's scrambling now, and he's just trying to find whatever he can. He's probably going to bring back CM Punk. Okay, cool, CM Punk's back. But, CM Punk's probably going to come back, finish out whatever, just so that he can get out of the fucking deal and maybe try and go somewhere else, or maybe stay there and then the Young Bucks go to the E. There's a lot of possibilities. But, again, Tony Khan needs to hook fucking fans. All fans, not just the Martins.
Yeah, absolutely. Just sad testament to the ratings there, I think, for sure. Again, that niche audience isn't enough, clearly. SmackDown, obviously, finishing the month strong. Friday's number has not come in yet. But really, for the month of February, I mean, you saw February 3rd, 2.38, February 10th, 2.46, February 17th, 2.38, and then on February 24th, 2.408. So SmackDown again on Fox, Friday nights, primetime, still does a good number. It might change up a little bit again with conference tournament play next weekend. It might get moved to FS1. I'm not sure yet. But strong numbers. The Bloodline continues to dominate. The one thing that kind of concerns me, though, Pat, and again, it's maybe because we always seem to kind of want everything now. It just seems if the rumor's true, or at least we're moving towards Sammy and Kevin joining forces against the Usos for the tag titles, it doesn't seem like this is marinating quick enough. Again, there's 3 weeks to go till WrestleMania. No tag title match has been announced yet. Again, maybe I'm just falling victim to the come on, we need it. We need to know now.
Yeah.
Get it. But I think that while this story continues to be compelling, obviously we saw Solo Sikoa beat Sami Zayn clean this past Friday on SmackDown. Next weekend, Sami Zayn's going to be facing Jimmy Uso. We'll see if that prompts an appearance by Jay. Maybe that's when Jay turns on Sami and joins with his brother. And maybe that's what, again, it's interesting. Again, with 3 weeks to go, the Bloodline is still the major focal point in wrestling, and rightfully so. But again, part of me is just like, all right, come on, let's get to Mania. Let's get to this conclusion. Not conclusion per se, because it's funny. People just think that, because Sammy's out of the Bloodline, that the Bloodline is just going to cease to exist. No, of course not. It's still the most viable faction in pro wrestling. You still have Solo Sikoa. You still have the Usos. You still have possibly maybe other family members. Hey, folks, maybe Rikishi, Solo's dad and the Usos' dad and a cousin of Roman Reigns might join. Who knows? There's a lot of great things to come out of this faction. And just because maybe, we're seeing possibly Roman Reigns, there you go, too cool there, maybe, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the Bloodline. But again, strong numbers on Friday nights, though, for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's gonna keep going. You know what? Make them wait. Who cares? People are still gonna tune in anyway, and you gotta give it a slow burn, man. You gotta build towards that hug with Sammy and Kevin at WrestleMania when they win the titles. You gotta kind of leave it open. Honestly, I would prefer if they did it where, it's Sammy just taking on Solo and Jimmy, right? And then Solo gets hurt in the match. And then Jay comes out, and then it's the Usos against Sammy, and then Kevin comes out, and then it's the Usos against Sammy and Kevin, and then Sammy and Kevin win, and then they both get the titles, and then they kind of look at each other, and then a big hug to end it.
Sure.
Bam. Fans are happy. What a payoff to a fucking great storyline. You know what I'm saying? But let it marinate, man. Don't be in such rush, man. Enjoy the foreplay, all right? Enjoy the foreplay. This is wrestling foreplay right now, okay? Enjoy the show. We'll get there. At WrestleMania, it's going to be huge. So,
certainly.
Enjoy the ride, people. It's good storytelling.
Absolutely. Again, those are the ratings, folks, here. This week on Working the Marks. And obviously, our main event topic this week, it is Revolution Sunday. Later on tonight on pay-per-view, I think it's like $50 on either Bleacher Report Plus, Fight TV. It's crazy. I'll find a way to stream it illegally. I mean,
can I pay for it with incense and myrrh? Like I have like a good amount of incense and myrrh. If I could use that instead, 'cause I don't know, $50 seems like a stretch, man.
Yeah, you know what? I'll offer to do write a term paper for one of the marks that maybe if they want to give me their username or password or something, maybe I might do that. But during the pre-show, during what's called 0 hour. Trios match will start off tonight. Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers will take on the Varsity Athletes and Ari Daivari.
Wait, what?
The Varsity Athletes.
But they're back together now. The Varsity Athletes, or is this another varsity team?
No, it's the Varsity Athletes are managed by Smart Mark Sterling, one of my boys, and Ari Daivari in the pre-show. Nice to see Mark Briscoe being featured on AEW television. Obviously, I think would have been nice to when his brother was alive. But again, that's neither here nor there. Interesting trios match during 0 hour, which is I guess their pre-show tonight. Again, in no particular order. Obviously, I don't know what the order of the matches will be, but let's start off with Chris Jericho facing Ricky Starks. Interesting dynamic that the Jericho Appreciation Society is banned from ringside. Doesn't say anybody else, just the Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho and Ricky Starks might be the culmination of their feud. I don't know. Interesting match, though.
I mean, it's I can't even say it's an interesting match. I'm not even interested. I mean, you know, what you were saying about Mark Briscoe, I would put Mark Briscoe in a All Atlantic Championship match and have him win that. You know, because obviously the TV title, you know, you got Joe and Wardlow for that one. You don't, you know, you kind of want to get that payoff, so maybe you could try and do something with Wardlow again, and then the title match, you already know what it is, but. That's what I would have done. And plus, you know, he's from the Atlantic. You know, he's near the Atlantic. You know, he's from the East Coast. You know, near the Atlantic Ocean. So it'd be kind of good for us to get our belt back. You know, so that's what I would have done personally. But as far as Jericho and Ricky Starks goes, I mean, maybe Ricky Starks wins, maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't, I kind of see Jericho adding somebody else to that gimmick. Either way, my interest is not really there for this, but you know, those are the two possibilities I think you can have.
All right, moving on to what is being billed as the final burial. I guess AEW's version of Buried Alive. It will be Jungle Boy Jack Perry against Christian Cage. I guess their final contest to end this feud once and for all. Obviously, Buried Alive must have been trademarked by WWE some time ago. It seems for a couple of weeks now, Jack Perry has been at a cemetery, digging a grave, threatening to put Christian Cage in it. So I'm assuming, again, I don't know if they're going to have a mountain of dirt in the arena tonight for the final burial. I don't know if they're going to maybe, I mean, obviously I looked it up on Google Maps, and the Chase Arena in downtown San Francisco is nowhere near a cemetery. So I don't know where this burial is going to take place. So interesting dynamic. I guess it's their attempt at a Buried Alive match. It seems like they want to push Jack Perry moving forward. Maybe this is one way for Christian Cage to put him over.
I mean, they have to finish it, you know. Do I care? Again, I don't. Like, it's just the interest to watch this match is not there. Jack Perry should be a bigger star than what he is now. You know what I mean? How they didn't push this kid and use the fact that he was Luke Perry's kid to make him a sympathetic figure, a sympathetic babyface is beyond me. Why hasn't he had a feud with Hook yet? Hook's another guy, another young, you know, heel dude, you know, that they could have put up against fucking Jack Perry. You could laugh. You could laugh.
But they just teamed up.
I'll laugh too.
But they just teamed up recently.
But it would have made sense. You know, but that's what I'm saying. Like a match like that would have made sense because you got a young baby face and a young heel, and Hook's style is a very heel style, and Jack Perry could work that high flying baby face style really, really well. You put those two together, you have them do a best of 7 series. You have them work so that you can establish those two as good workers, but give them the character work. You know, it's like it's too little, too fucking late right now. And as far as the name of the match goes, we had talked about it. I think that it's a play on the whole, breaking kayfabe kind of thing. You know, the lingo of, oh, I'm gonna bury you. You know, you're gonna get buried after I beat you. You know, or like whatever. You know, like all these motherfuckers using the inside terms and shit like that, but never taking a bump, like that type of shit. So, I think they're kind of playing to that crowd by doing that. But yeah, it's probably their shit attempt at a fucking Buried Alive match. Look, man, they're gonna finish the feud. They're gonna do whatever. Jungle Boy needs to go over. Fine, but again, too little, too late. It's hard for me to care about this fucking match when I just don't even care about these characters. These characters are a fucking afterthought in the booking. So it is what it is.
Certainly. For the AEW World Tag Team titles in a fatal 4-way, one fall, I guess, no disqualification. The champions, the Guns, will defend against the former champions, invoking their rematch clause in the fatal 4-way. The Acclaimed against Triple J, Jeff Jarrett, and Jay Lethal. And just added this past week on Dynamite on Wednesday night, we're still awaiting word whether or not Jim Cornette had a stroke over this. The AEW All-Atlantic champion, Orange Cassidy, will team up with Danhausen in a fatal 4-way to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles. I think this match has clusterfuck written all over it.
I think it's going to be all right. The Guns could work. The Acclaim could work. Triple J could work. Those two, they're big baby faces with that audience. You need 2 baby faces. You need 2 heels in this match. It makes sense. Again, you don't have to like it. It's not for you, but with what they're trying to do, it makes a lot of sense. So, I think that match is actually going to be all right. Because, like I said, 3 out of the 4 teams, and even 4 out of the 4 teams, because you don't get it twisted, man. You might not like Orange Cassidy, but that dude could work. He understands how to work. He understands it. He comes from a good background, And again, it doesn't take much. And when you got a veteran like Jeff Jarrett, who, in my opinion, is the best older wrestler right now, man. I mean, I don't even want to say older wrestler because I want to get hit in the head with a fucking guitar if I ever see him someday. But, like, I'm just saying that for an older guy nowadays, Jeff Jarrett, he's doing really fucking great. And he's an example to a lot of the older talent on what they should try and do. Because here's a dude who kind of dialed it back a little bit, saves his big spots, his drop kick, which he has one of the best in the business ever. He saves that. He makes it matter. And he works in a way that's believable. And he keeps in shape. He keeps in shape for an older guy. So, credit to Double J, man. I'm pulling for Triple J in this one. You're not got to be pulling for Jay Lethal. I think this match is actually going to be a lot better than you think it might be.
Listen, I'm with you. I think it'll be intriguing. I kind of get the sense the Acclaimed might get their titles back. I'm not sure if this is just a transitional championship reign for the Guns. They haven't really defended the titles since winning them. This will be technically their first title defense. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. In a Texas death match in downtown San Francisco, Hangman Adam Page will challenge Jon Moxley. I'm going to go on record right now. Here's a prediction for tonight. Jon Moxley will not bleed in the Texas death match.
Honestly, man, I don't understand why they didn't call it a Hell's Angel street fight. Maybe they could have gotten a Hell's Angel to go there or something. Because that would have made sense because the Hell's Angels were pretty big in San Francisco back in the 60s and stuff like that, So that would have been a little bit more interesting, or a San Francisco street fight, something like that would have made more sense. A Texas death match in San Francisco. Well, again, this is the company that bought you the All-Atlantic Championship, so.
Correct. It's interesting.
Maybe geography is not a strong suit, for Tony. I don't know. But, I mean, look, I think we've seen these guys fight so many times. There's going to be a lot of blood. They're going to beat the shit out of each other. Whether people like it or not, this is what Jon Moxley wants to do. There's a lot of people out there that want to see him back in WWE. There's a lot of people that think that Hangman Adam Page shouldn't be doing stuff like this. But both of the guys want to do it. Moxley wants to do this above all else, and he's one of the highest paid guys in the company. It is what it is. There's going to be blood. Another match I'm not really into, but, I'm sure it'll be good for what it is.
No, certainly. And a great point about, again, Tony Khan struggling with geography. I mean, he is a graduate of the University of Illinois, probably one of the worst academic schools in the Big Ten, not unlike other schools, universities in the Big Ten that are more reputable, academically. But, again, I don't want to pick on Tony Khan as my alma mater being a little bit better. But clearly he does struggle with geography, as you said. In the AEW World's Trios Championship match, Pat, the Elite will be challenged by the House of Black. It's interesting watching Dynamite. Look at it with the Prosecco. Wow. I'm talking about the Bougie Rivera, folks.
Getting high on wine. Grapes of wrath.
I think guys going to get drunk on Prosecco.
Wait a minute. Grapes of wrath.
Wasn't brunch like 6 hours ago? Jesus.
No, this isn't brunch. This is called Linner.
There you go.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Coppinger on that one.
It's interesting though, Pat, because it seems like as wrestling fans, we've kind of become preconditioned to if somebody gets jumped on the go-home show, it would seem that they'll probably go over on the pay-per-view. I don't want to say that that's what happened here, because if you watch Dynamite on Wednesday, the Elite were staying on the stage, their music hit, and then it went dark. House of Black jumped them, left them laying, stood over them holding the titles, and then they disappeared, and the screen went black again. Again, I don't want to say that it's predictable booking, but I wouldn't be shocked with the Elite going over against the House of Black based on that.
This is a tough one, because I kind of want to think that the Elite are going to go over, right? Because, that maybe common sense would dictate that, but we are talking about AEW here, so you got to kind of, tread lightly, I guess. I think if the Elite do go over, you might see CM Punk and FTR come back.
Surprise, motherfucker.
That's right. Mr. Dokes, he knows. And, I think that would be somewhat interesting. I think that fans would want to tune. I think, I might even give it a gander. But you could also have House of Black take it. You know what I'm saying? Because they probably want to build them up maybe a little bit stronger. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It all depends what they want to do. Plus, here's the other variable, too, we have to consider. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Are they going to stay in AEW? Are they going to go to WWE? What's going to happen with them? You know what I mean? So I feel like this match could kind of go a long way in helping us kind of understand what the future might hold for the Elite.
Pat, again, take it with a grain of salt, though, but looking at just some info online for some weeks now, it seems that, with Kenny Omega's injury time off, I guess that time was added onto his contract. So he's still signed for the rest of the year. And it seems like the Bucks clause also activates. So they might be wrestling for the rest of the calendar year in AEW. Again, that doesn't mean that, they may not explore WWE in 2024. It seems like 2024.
I don't know, man. Again, to your point, we got to take that with a grain of salt. I just think that you're not going to hear about these rumors. They're not going to be talking about this kind of stuff if it's not going to happen sometime soon. You know what I'm saying? The summer season's big for WWE. You got SummerSlam. You want to build up towards something big, towards something interesting. We don't know what could happen between now and then. You know what I'm saying? But I got to think that if the Young Bucks and Kenny are going to leave AEW, you're going to kind of see them booked similarly to probably the way Cody was before Cody left.
Yeah.
And they haven't been featured as prominently. And I think that that's something to kind of keep an eye out for. So let's see how it kind of goes. But again, let's take these internet rumors with a grain of salt. We know that there's been talks, though, on both sides from both companies. Kenny, the Bucks, they've kind of been receptive. They've sent out feelers through people. Let's see what happens between now and then. But I think if you want to see a CM Punk return or an FTR return, this might be the match to look at.
Oh, absolutely. For the coveted TNT Championship, Samoa Joe, who is also the Ring of Honor Television Champion.
Stop! You really fucking said that? He really said that, D? Did he really say coveted TNT Championship?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
He will defend the championship against former champion Wardlow with Powerhouse Hobbs somewhere in the horizon after winning the Casino Royale ladder match this week, which makes him the number one contender, obviously facing the winner of this one. I think they've dropped the ball with Wardlow for a lot of months. Yeah. This is the guy who looks the part, cuts a very good promo, right? That was always the concern. Oh, he looks like $1 million, but can he cut a promo? We've seen him cut good promos. It seems like this is a guy who I would not be surprised is on WWE's radar. He's young. He's still very green. But let me tell you something. Give him a year at the Performance Center on NXT. Wardlow could be a star in the E for years to come. But again, first things first, let's hope that Tony Khan doesn't book him into oblivion, because it seems like he's been booking him quite poorly in recent months since losing.
What you talking about, Professor?
Hey, man, got to call like it is, bro.
I agree, man. I think that the moment that he came out and he won that Battle Royal, I think it was, and the first thing he says is, I don't want to challenge for the world title. I want to challenge for the TNT title. He lost a lot of capital.
Tony Khan is 2022 Booker of the Year, my friend.
In what, Earth 5, Earth 6, where?
Well, no, the Earth where we discovered the origins of Kong and Godzilla, right? That inner Earth, I think that's that version of Earth.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, no, it's an Earth where you get stunning high definition and quality audio for $12.99 a month. I think it is. Is that what it is? Is that the Earth that it belongs on? And that's where that happens?
I don't know. It's a lot of these streaming things are become expensive. $12.99 now. $10.99, I think, for Peacock now. Other streaming services.
That's a great price. Actually, it should be higher. It should be $15 a month, I think. Yeah.
Well,
with even more commercials. It should be all commercials read by Durag Vince. I think that would be Fantastic.
You'd be all in.
It'd be Jesus Christ.
I'd be elite. Okay, that's what I would be. It would be elite.
Who do you like in that match, man? Wardlow and Samoa Joe.
Well, you got to think Wardlow. You got to think Wardlow's going to get the title back. I mean, like, it makes a fucking a difference, but I mean, at least they're going to try and do something with him. I think it's too late with him too.
I agree
with a lot of fucking people.
I agree, and obviously, Powerhouse Hobbs is right there waiting after winning the Battle Royal this week. We'll see if maybe he gets himself involved in the match. Who knows? Maybe that'll add some intrigue, or who knows? Maybe they'll make it a triple threat where Hobbs just comes in and says, "Oh, I want to cash in my title match now," and maybe they make it a triple threat. Who knows? It's Tony Khan has so much convoluted booking. Nothing surprises me anymore. Speaking
2022 Booker of
that's right. Speaking of an actual triple threat match for the AEW Women's Championship, Jamie Hayter will defend against both Saraya and Ruby Soho. I got to tell you, man, this match has an element of intrigue to me because Ruby Soho, since coming on board, again, I think another mismatched talent, a really good worker in a women's division that lacks good workers. I would like to have seen her maybe get a title reign at some point. She didn't. She came in, she won that Battle Royal, if we all remember, back in 2021 at All Out, and pretty much challenged Britt Baker, lost clean, and then pretty much got relegated to the mid-card. And nice to see her featured prominently again. I'd be shocked. I think the right move is to maybe keep it on Hayter for a little bit longer, but I wouldn't be surprised if Saraya or Soho walk away with the title tonight.
Yeah, I think the destination for this match is unknown. I'd probably like to see Saraya go over in this one, only because she kind of needs something to get her going, like more with this heel thing. It hasn't been particularly great, but it hasn't been particularly awful. I think it just needs layers to kind of help it grow. She's a talented performer, man. People can say whatever they want to say about her now, but she's a talented performer. She comes from a wrestling family. She knows how to work. She knows how to be a champion. I think that it would be smart if they put it on her. You build Jamie Hayter back up as a baby face again to kind of help her eventually take the title off of her. Or you can have her feud with Britt in the meantime, and go over on Britt so that she can make herself a little bit stronger because Baker's over with that audience forever. So,
well, remember, they're both faces now. Like Hayter and Baker are faces. Presently,
yeah, but still, you could just turn Britt on it real quick and people will buy it. Like, it doesn't matter. Britt could be face or heel, and it's gonna work for her. Jamie, I think, is the one that needs to stay face no matter what. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And in the main event, obviously, of what I anticipate to be a 7-hour pay-per-view tonight, for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship in a 60-minute Ironman match, Bryan Danielson will challenge Maxwell Jacob Friedman for the I'm telling you, someone's getting a little nice with the Prosecco, I gotta say. Tonight, I gotta tell you, man, they've dropped the ball with Bryan Danielson since the beginning. They've never featured him prominently as a champion. He should have had the title a long time ago. That wasn't the case. I think that Khan has not booked MJF particularly strong in recent months since winning the championship last fall. I'll tell you something, and not to go with the sort of internet chatter about, Britt Baker and MJF having a Twitter war, and then Adam Cole jumping in there, maybe the return of CM Punk, who knows? I would be shocked if Danielson wins, not because I don't want him to win. I do want him to win, but it just seems like Tony Khan has never felt comfortable putting the title on Danielson and having him as like leading the company. I guess MJF is sink or swim for Tony Khan.
What a waste.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. For all we know, Danielson could be like, hey, man, I just want to put people over. He's that kind of a guy. I will say that for as talented as MJF is, it's been kind of lame lately, man. It's kind of like rinse and repeat with him. And I feel like he needs to start adding newer, different layers to what he's doing because it's the same old shtick, Regardless, they're both great workers. It's going to be a great match. I think if you're gonna book it, I mean, if you want to book a great Iron Man match, you have them go to a time limit draw. Then maybe you take it to sudden death overtime. Danielson hits the knee,
But that's
and
not what
then
they
and then
signed
and then
for. But
and then
that's not what they signed for.
the boyhood dream comes true.
That's not what they
Bryan
signed
Danielson
for. If you
becoming
sign
AEW champion.
a contract for a 60-minute Iron Man match, you just can't revise it mid-match,
Oh shit!
change the parameters. That contractually, that's not kosher.
Wait a minute, Uribe, I can't see you. You're drowning in a sea of tears. Oh shit! Where are you? Where is he? Somebody throw him a salvavidas. Come on, man.
Listen, 100,000 flavors in the universe, and I'm picking salty. But what can I say?
From Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So I mean, it's gonna be a good match, but I mean, again, like I'm not really like terribly interested. Danielson, they should have put the title on him, like from when he got there. The guy was a tailor-made main eventer, but again, we don't know what the situation is. Maybe there's a sense of reluctance from Tony Khan, given his history with concussions, the fact that he's working a little bit of a stiffer style, the fact that he's already gotten hurt working in matches where he probably shouldn't have been in. I think it was the Anarchy in the Arena match where he got hurt doing that. I mean, you want to protect this guy, but you also want to use him because he's a big star and you want to use his name. And I think using his name to help make MJF even more of a star is good, but MJF also has to kind of mix it up, man. I feel like it's getting tired, man. It's getting tired. And
bro, he's a low grade Miz.
I mean,
yeah.
I just want to see something else. That's all. I think right now, the most dangerous man in professional wrestling, Dom Mysterio, I think he's more of a heel than fucking MJF. You can quote me on that. You know what I'm saying? Because Dom goes into arenas, people boo him. People hate him, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll bust out in a "fuck you, Dom" chants. Like, dude, that's serious. That's heat. He's a lot more hateable than he is. When they had the Pinochle, I remember when they had that stable going. They had what's his face, fucking Ty Dillinger, fucking 10, fucking he was in it. That dude was the real heel of that group because nobody liked that motherfucker. Nobody
like everybody else was likable. FTR was very likable. Wardlow was likable.
I don't know about very likable, but they were likable. But
Tully Blanchard likable. I mean, everybody was likable.
Legend. You love Tully Blanchard. Original brainbuster, not the second incarnation. Woo! You know what I'm saying? James J. Dillon! You know what I'm saying? But it was a likable group. You know what I'm saying? But you had Sean Spears. And Sean Spears, you're like, the fuck's he doing here? You know what I'm saying? You're like, this guy? Like,
who the fuck is that?
10? Fucking 10? Like, nah. But
he's the guy who knocked up Peyton Royce and gets to go home to her. So it must not be that bad of a life, I guess, for Sean Spears.
Well, whatever. We'll see. We'll see what his life ends up like years later. But anyways, the point is that we're not talking about that. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the graphs here, okay? You got to go there all the time. You pervert. You know what I'm saying? But what else is new with you, Professor? Listen, Sean Spears was more of a heel than MJF.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. He was. Because, you don't want to watch that dude. You want to watch MJF. All right? A good heel is somebody you can't stand. The Miz, for years, was a good heel because people did not like him.
But, Pat, is MJF falling into a little bit of the maybe anti-hero category?
No,
and not the anti-hero where,
like Christ.
Not Swift sings about you, anti-hero, but like a traditional anti-hero.
No. He's not Steve Austin, dude. That's not the issue with him.
Fair enough.
He goes out there. His act is tired, and fans look forward to his fucking zingers. That's what it is. So what he needs to do is go out there and hold the microphone and stand there for like a good 10 minutes and just be like, you know what? This is a waste of my time. And throw the mic down and leave. He needs to take away from the fans what they like about him. And what they like about him is him talking. It was like Chris Jericho. If Chris Jericho really wanted to be a fucking heel, he would have gotten rid of Judas. Why are you going to keep a fucking song as a heel that fans sing along with? Take that shit away from them. Make them hate you. Use another fucking song. You know what I'm saying? But the objective as a heel is to make people not like you.
There's plenty of good songs from the Fozzy albums they can pick, and not just Judas if they want to just like piss off fans or something. So
I don't know about that, but I'm just saying that he's got that one hit that the fans like and people sing along with it. You want to be a heel, take that shit away. You know what I'm saying? Like the Young Bucks. If the Young Bucks ever really wanted to be heels, you know what they would do? They go out there and they'd be like, we're not going to fly around for you people. We've risked our lives long enough. We've hurt ourselves. Our bodies are broken because of you people, and you people are ungrateful. And they would just work like fucking FTR or some shit. Or they would work like a submission-based style where everybody'd be like, what the fuck? I want to see the Young Bucks do moonsaults. And they would get heat.
yeah,
They would get fucking nuclear heat.
Yeah.
Because, again, that's what you want to do. So I think if I was MJF, I'd be like, man, I'm not going to cut promos no more. Or if I am going to cut promos, I'm gonna fucking make them wait, and I'm going to give them a couple little nuggets here and there, and that's it. And I'm going to keep them coming back, you know? So either way, I expect this to be a good match. Maybe Punk shows up, gets involved with this one, or the trios match. We don't know. Honestly, if I was Tony Khan, especially if you're doing that All Access show, and, you know, he's a big part of it, I would make Adam Cole the big baby face next. Because he's a sympathetic baby face with that crowd, given what he's been going through and all that stuff. That would be a guy to kind of build up as your next big baby face, honestly.
Yeah, totally. And I think the title picture that he was in, or storyline with Adam Page last year, was a little uninspiring. You know, I think they did the best they could in that title, I guess, feud, whatever.
It was too soon. It was too soon for Cole, not for nothing. And Adam Page's reign as champion was pretty flat.
Yeah.
And I think had you done Bryan Danielson at that time, if you would have put the title on him instead of Adam Page, you would have done Danielson against Adam Cole. Okay, cool. We're talking. We've seen this before, but this is interesting, and we haven't seen it in this atmosphere and for the big title. You know, that'd be cool. Like, all right, cool. Let's go for the big title. Although I think it was it a title match? No, it was an NXT title match when he defended against Danielson, didn't he?
I believe so. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that would be cooler. That would be better. But again, it was a combination of a lot of different things. And I don't think that Adam Cole was able to do that, regardless of the fact that they botched him coming back again, because I wouldn't have had him come back till he was cleared, honestly. You know, oh, hey, you have Adam Cole come out. Oh, shit. Everybody's like, fuck, he's going to wrestle again. And then he's like, hey, everybody, I'm not going to wrestle again. And it's like, you know, like the air
technically,
out of the
technically he is coming back Wednesday. Like, he's having his first match back this Wednesday on Dynamite. So it'll be interesting who he's paired with. And
But they should have waited for that shit. They should have waited for that shit. They should have had him come out at the beginning of that show, cut a promo, and be like, you people want to see Adam Cole wrestle, baby? And have everybody go fucking nuts. And you'd be like, well, you're going to see him tonight. Have him drop the mic and leave the fucking ring. Boom. The place is fucking electric for him.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That crowd loves him. And they would fucking pop huge. And that would be interesting. And that would be a way to revamp him after you kind of drop the ball with him, debuting him the same night as fucking Danielson. You know?
I'm with you. And folks, that's our Revolution preview. We'll see how long that pay-per-view lasts later on tonight.
Wait. Are we doing a Prince review too as well, or is it just the Revolution? Because I feel like we should review Prince, you know, as well.
We could do that definitely on the next show. But
hold on. Let me go get my Raspberry Beret, the kind that you buy at a secondhand store. I got one here. If you need me to put it on, so I can put it on.
But before we get to PBR's big announcement, folks, on this day in pro wrestling history, on this day in March 5th in 2001, a week after Jerry Lawler left the company after a tip with Vince McMahon between him and his wife at the time, the Cat, Paul Heyman shockingly made his debut as a new Monday Night Raw color commentator along Jim Ross. Heyman had just jumped from ECW, the company he ran that obviously was heading towards bankruptcy. Also on this day in 2012, I'll tell you, someone's getting lit tonight, though. I'll tell you. On an episode of Raw from the TD Bank Garden in Boston, Massachusetts, Santino Marella defeated Jack Swagger to win the WWE United States Championship. Interesting. On this day, tragically, in 2013, William Moody, otherwise known affectionately to so many of us as Paul Bearer, had passed away in his hometown of Alabama at the age of 58. Really, really tragic moment. I remember that. Also on this day in 2017, WWE presented for the first time Fastlane at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. And, I remember this. The main event saw Goldberg defeat Kevin Owens to win the Universal Championship in just 23 seconds. So I know, just ridiculous. Also on this day in pro wrestling history, Samoa Joe in 2019 on an episode of SmackDown became the new United States champion in defeating in a fatal four-way match R-Truth, Andrade, and Rey Mysterio. Folks, all of this happening on this day, March the 5th, in pro wrestling history. Before we call it a day, folks, we got a big announcement coming up from the PVR superstar.
Hello, I would like to make an announcement. It is a major announcement. No, I'm just kidding. That was my best snowman right there. So hold on a second. I got to get the gimmick ready. I should have been getting the gimmick ready instead while you were yapping over there with your history fucking professor over here. So we got a show coming up. The child actors. We got a big show. Well, it's the big show, and it's a big bad show tonight. And I'm botching this right now. I feel like an AEW talent. But give me 1 second here. This Prosecco's fantastic.
Clearly.
So I haven't but see, this is good because I'm keeping the theme with the whole Tony Khan announcement thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of like works out well, because I'm botching the announcement. Okay, here we go. Bam. All right. No, fuck, that's not it. All right. I keep botching it. I'm sorry. But child actors are coming back with a show. We're finally coming back. It's been a long time, and I've been dying to play again. I've been dying to, do my thing for you people out there. Fernando's been there. He was there while I was handing out the amyl nitrates and all that stuff. But
I have to remember not to show up in a suit because everyone keeps asking me if I have cocaine on me. So I gotta that down.
Or just bring cocaine this time. It's okay. Like no big deal. So PTRWI. All right. WTF is this visuals? All right, is presenting a show on the Cinco de Mayo, Mexican Day. You know me. I love tacos. I love Mexicans. 7 p.m. It's going to be at the VFW Post 2648 at 510 81st Street in North Bergen, New Jersey. It's called the Metal Spring Fling. It's going to be with Locaine, Chaotician, Eye Destroyer, the child actors. I'm going to definitely cut a better promo than this when I'm actually not on fucking Prosecco. High on wine, grapes of wrath. You don't want to miss this fucking show. $15 pre-sale, okay, at the door. You get a Corona/tequila special, all right? You get a shot. You get a beer. You put them together. You fucking drink them. You get shit-faced. You enjoy the music that night. And for tickets, hit up at what WTF_is_this_visuals. Or for other inquiries, you can hit up WTF Productions HC@gmail.com. You saw me botch this. You loved it. It was fucking great. Come on out to the show. I'll buy you a drink. Woo! We'll take it from there. Thank you so much for having me on here tonight, Uribe. It's been fucking delightful.
Absolutely.
And March their events.
Absolutely. Obviously, I don't have as big of an announcement as the PBR Superstar, but folks, as a reminder, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time live on Jersey First TV via YouTube and also on StreamYard via Facebook Live as well. I'll bring in the next edition of Real Talk as State Assembly candidate Josh Akins from the 24th Legislative District will be joining me tomorrow night live. We'll have a lot to talk about when it comes to, obviously, this election season in New Jersey. All 120 legislative seats are up for grabs in this election cycle. All 40 in the state Senate, all 80 in the state Assembly. Josh Akins out in Morris County looking to become the nominee to perhaps maybe win an assembly seat later on this year, as hopefully God willing, we can turn the legislature red in New Jersey later on this November. Put some pressure on the emperor. Governor Palpatine. Governor Murphy.
Save it for your other fucking show, bro. Promote your shit, but stop plugging your fucking agenda, bro. All right? Seriously.
So tune in tomorrow night, folks, 6 p.m. Eastern Time for Real Talk. Always check us out here, folks, via Famcast Media. Always check out our previous episodes via blogtalkradio.com/workingthemarks. And, of course, folks, you see all the great social media handles there on the bottom of the screen. Shoot us an email, workingthemarks@gmail.com. Also, hit us up on a DM on all of our Instagram, also on Twitter. Make sure you like Working the Marks on Facebook. As you can see, the PBR superstar is doing his best Dom Mysterio impersonation right now. Maybe not having Prosecco, but certainly doing his best Dom Mysterio impersonation.
He did have Prosecco, actually. I got it on good word, and Mommy paid for it, too. So.
Well, listen, Mommy can pay for a lot of things, and I wouldn't mind that either.
Mommy can pay me to do anything. That's
right. Same here. But folks, always check us out here. We want to thank Famcast Media for being a proud sponsor here of Working the Marks. And also, of course, we could not do what we do every single week, folks, without our amazing producer and director, Dee Rotten. I will not give his government name now, but Dee Rotten does an amazing job here on the show. We could not be the success that we are without Dee Rotten behind the scenes, and certainly there. Represent Bernie Williams there, Ben Nabe Williams there, a fellow Puerto Rican for Pat, of course. Back when we had a good center fielder for the Yankees, that was some time ago, man.
You don't like Bader? Bader's awesome.
Bader's okay. Bader's good, as long as we keep other people off the center field.
Bernie likes him, right, Bernie?
Well, as long as we keep Aaron Hicks out of there, that's for sure. But
Aaron Hicks, bro, that's fucking MVP right there. Come on, get out of here.
Folks, that's a Prosecco kicking in there. But folks, he is again, Pat. Before we call it a night, there, any last words here for our amazing audience on Famcast Media?
Burn it down, motherfucker. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I know I am.
Clearly, folks, enjoy Revolution. Thanks so much for always joining us here on Working the Marks. He is New Jersey's premier wrestling analyst, the notorious, the glorious, the infamous Patrick Rivera, the PBR superstar. I gotta love the pants there. My God, wow. Okay, Jesus Christ. Somewhere right now, somehow, somewhere, Owen Hart is loving the high energy pants that the PBR superstar is rocking there right now.
It's my Evil Dead. It's my Evil Dead sweatpants, bro. My Evil Dead. Check it out. Rucking Fountain on Instagram and on Facebook. They got wonderful horror movie stuff, man. You don't want to fucking miss it. Prosecco. All right, sign us off. Because
all right, folks. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Fernando Uribe, and every single week here via Famcast Media. We're doing it better than anybody else online, folks. We are Working the Marks here on StreamYard. Folks, we'll see you next week. Enjoy Revolution. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And always remember, keep cheering us on social media. We're Working the Marks here on Famcast Media. Have a great night, everyone.
Cheap.
Famcast Media.